Uh-oh, what? What?
Hit my funny bone.
I think we're going to try something new today. Go to Mystery Bay. It's a little bit of a mystery to us because we haven't been there. But looks cool on the charts anyways. Looks pretty protected. We've heard from a few people that have been there that it's a cool stop. It's just a little bit south of Port Townsend, sort of in between Port Townsend and Port Ludlow. And it's on Marrowstone Island. So I'm going to plot a course so our autopilot can follow it. And we'll get underway shortly. A little sketchy entrance here. I am going to set our speed at 6.5 knots. That'll get us there at 4:15 this afternoon. Narrow, skinny little channel where it's broke off from the mainland, so should be a good run. With our course plotted and 1 cup of coffee under my belt, we're ready for departure. After being at the dock for the past week to provision and get some boat supplies, it feels good to be getting back out on the water. In true Pacific Northwest fashion, the day only improved as the hours rolled by. During our 6-hour cruise northbound in Puget Sound, the sky cleared and the sun came out just as we approached our final destination.
So we're coming up to Indian Island and Marrowstone Island, and it's really weird. On the map, they're listed as 2 separate islands, but they're clearly not 2 separate islands. And Mystery Bay State Park is in Mystery Bay, which is close to Marrowstone Island on the map, but Marrowstone Island does not look like an island, so I can't wait to get there and see what's going on. There's Fort Flagler Historical State Park.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Say that 10 times.
Fort Flagler, Fort Flagler, Fort Flagler. Fort Flagler, Fort Flagler. Fort Flagler Historical State Park, which it looks huge, and I'm sure that's going to be a good place to go and check out. We're about to head through the Port Townsend Canal, which divides the mainland with the island, or these 2 islands. Indian Island will be on our starboard and the mainland will be on our port side. And then once we get through there, we'll move up towards Port Townsend, and instead of turning into Port Townsend, we'll turn right into the bay where Mystery Bay lies. Deep. It's about halfway down into that bay. So this is our first time going, so we'll take you along and show you what we find here, and if there are in fact 2 islands, which I don't believe there are, but you never know. Good news, folks, I'm not crazy and I can interpret a map. While commonly referred to as 2 separate islands, Indian and Marrowstone Islands are actually attached by an isthmus, or a narrow strip of land to their south. I guess that solves the first mystery of this trip. It's so crazy to look on a map and look at all these different places that we still have yet to go. 6 years out here, and I think we could spend 10 more years and probably not have seen all that there is to see out here. There's just, it's endless. Endless bays, endless islands, towns, all up and down Puget Sound and into the islands. So it's a pretty amazing spot if you're a cruiser. Once we cruised through the Port Townsend Canal, we rounded the north end of Indian Island, which is a major U.S. Navy munitions handling facility. Navy combat ships and military sealift command vessels frequent this dock, receiving and discharging munitions in support of U.S. military operations around the world.
When we arrived at the popular Mystery Bay, we ended up deciding on a less crowded, more scenic, and well-protected anchorage option in Killisset Harbor, halfway between Mystery Bay and Fort Flagler State Park. Here we had the place all to ourselves, with gorgeous views of the entire harbor, Port Townsend to our north, and the sunset over Indian Island.
Uh-oh, what? What?
Hit my funny bone.
That's funny.
No, it's not.
What are you gonna work on?
Our water maker's making stinky water. So I'm gonna put a new pre-filter in, but I have a feeling I'm gonna have to run some chemicals through it.
Do we have everything you need?
Yeah. Start with the pre-filter.
So are we gonna start with a pre-filter, check it, and then if that doesn't do the trick, we're gonna do the chemicals?
Yep.
New pre-filters in and then ran a chemical through our membrane to eliminate any bio-growth. So we'll see what Elizabeth thinks of this glass of fresh water. Hey buddy.
Ah, water?
Why don't you give us the seal of approval.
Well, it passed already where I don't smell the eggs.
Yeah, that doesn't smell like sulfur.
Check. It's good.
Yeah?
I think you eradicated the problem.
Is that like Fiji or like
it's better. This is like Evian meets Fiji meets what's that other really expensive water? It's really good. There's no, it had that chemical aftertaste before, like that sulfury chemical gross. Isn't it amazing that you can take salt water and turn it into this?
Yeah.
In like 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Crazy. Awesome. Good job. Good job. Fort Flagler, here we come. It's a 120 or 30-year-old Army fort, right there. And it's got beautiful views of Port Townsend and Admiralty Inlet, Whidbey Island, and a whole lot of other stuff. Hopefully we'll find. Kind of cold. My hands are chilly. Summer's slipping by, but at least it's sunny and blue sky, and it'll get warm by later today. pretty here. It's really pretty here. It's just funny when you look out. It looks like it's a complete shelf of like a big spit that covers the entire entrance. And there's a tiny little channel to get in. So plan it correctly if and when you come. Fort Flagler State Park is the site of Fort Flagler, a former United States Army fort on the north end of Marrowstone Island overlooking the entrance into Puget Sound. Well, good thing we didn't have to walk back. The long stretch of beach heads right into Fort Flagler and the parking lot, and then I'm sure we'll find a path to go see all of the old Army buildings. This is really a great spot. Great views of Puget Sound. Sure, on a clear day. It's a little hazy out there, but you can probably see Mount Baker, possibly even Mount Rainier if it's super clear. At the top of the hill, we found the parade ground with historical buildings, many now used as vacation rentals and retreat houses. The old hospital. Definitely different from today's hospitals.
Yeah.
Yes, this was completed in 1905. Cost $22,000, which I'm sure was a mint back then. Had 12 beds, 5,700 square feet. It's kind of creepy. This whole place is a little, because it's a ghost town, it's kind of scary to be here. Come on, buddy. By far, the most interesting sights to see at the park are the 9 military batteries that are all accessible to the public. Established in 1897 and manned during both World Wars and the Korean War, this fort was a coast artillery guarding the entrance into Puget Sound. Kind of crazy to get like a history lesson walking through history. So cool.
Missiles or bombs or whatever, projectiles. Lift them up to the top.
This is like a maze. It just keeps going and going and going.
Along with the rich history everywhere we turned, the park has some of the best views in the area, overlooking Admiralty Inlet with Whidbey Island to the east and Port Townsend to the north. Fort Flagler is possibly one of the best state parks we've been to in Washington State. The hot dogs and soft serve were pretty amazing too.
perfect end to a great day, our last day here near Mystery Bay off of Marrowstone Island, and look at that. It doesn't get any better. We're not quite sure where we're going to go next, but it's going to take a lot to beat this area. Hey, wait, what about that mystery we came here to solve? Well, with the help of a few friendly locals, Pete, Pat, Maddie, and their pups, we now know why Mystery Bay is such a mystery. Here goes. Mystery Bay is said to have been named as such because of smugglers on the island during Prohibition days. Transporting booze from Canada was a highly profitable and somewhat honored occupation in the remote waters of northwest Washington. And hidden between Marrowstone and Indian Islands, Killisset Harbor was a great retreat to evade Coast Guard vessels. Smugglers' boats could easily hide in the overhanging trees in the small bay in the middle of the harbor, and it's said that the regular disappearances of smugglers were categorized by the Coast Guard as mysterious, hence the name Mystery Bay. So now that you're smarter because of watching this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on our next adventure, or some upcoming boat work. And stick around for Q&A with the captain. We'll see you soon!
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. Our Q&A starts right now. We have 5 questions this week. Our first question comes from JB and Ann. They live in Washington, D.C. and ask, how is your NORDHAVN with regards to keeping the smell of diesel in the engine room? I honestly don't smell any diesel in the engine room. Do you, Elizabeth, smell diesel?
Nope.
The engine room is well ventilated. We got big louvers out in the cockpit and also up on the stack. So I think there's always air circulation through our engine room. So I have never noticed any smell of diesel. Our second question this week comes from Todd. Todd lives in Ohio and asks, do you use or have you looked into installing a FLIR camera to aid in navigation? I have a few friends that have FLIR, have played with them a bit. I think they're fun to play with in an anchorage or at a marina. However, in my experience and friends that have them on their boats, their experience is that they don't seem to be overly useful for seeing the things that you maybe want to see when out on a passage in the open sea. So things like crab pot buoys or logs are things that likely the FLIR is not going to do a good job detecting in time to be able to manage correcting course and going around it. So I think for those reasons, that, you know, due to the expense of it, haven't found it to be helpful enough to justify putting it on the boat. Our next question comes from Norm. Norm asks, in the unlikely event where you'd have to cut your anchor chain, how would you do it? So we have a lot of Milwaukee cordless tools, the M18 and M12 varieties, and we have a grinder, a right angle grinder with a cutoff wheel on it. So if we had to cut our chain, hopefully we never have to. Don't want to see our anchor stay at the bottom. I'd like to always be able to retrieve it. But if we had to for some reason, that's how we would do it. Also, if the anchor ever got fouled on something, we have dive gear, so hopefully we'd be able to recover it and we wouldn't have to cut it, but good question. Our fourth question comes from Mike Capara, and he asks, what are some of the maintenance items and spare parts that you always keep on board? You have a long list, don't have it completely memorized, but obviously things like filters, impellers, belts, water maker parts. So we have all the filters for the water maker, but also all the parts to rebuild the membranes. We have replacement freshwater pumps on the boat so that our water can always run, or for sinks and showers and things like that, should one of those fail. Zincs, hose clamps, propane regulators, those are all things that we have as spare items on the boat. Did I skip Rick's? Oh yeah, I did. And our fifth question this week comes from Rick. Rick lives in Fresno, California, and asks, how far to sea do you typically travel? Is it simply a matter of preference, or is there a particular rule of thumb? So when you're out in the open sea, you want to maybe stay in deeper water if you can. If you run a little bit closer to shore, the waves tend to stack up. So you're going to get a more consistent pitch between the waves, you know, maybe running several miles offshore, maybe greater than 5 miles. But when we're running at night, one of the things we particularly want to try to avoid is fishing gear, so crab pots in the water. And usually commercial gear is, you won't find it set past like 100 fathoms, which is 600 feet. So that's a good rule of thumb when traveling at night, if you can travel in those depths. Otherwise, like along the west coast, explained in another video, is tow lanes where commercial traffic goes, and those tow lanes are something that's published on the University of Washington's website. So we'll link the video back to where we talked about that. But that's generally kind of how we plan how far offshore we're going to go. During the day, when you can see, you can certainly get as close to shore as you want. It just becomes a matter of comfort. Sometimes the waves stack up a little bit as you get closer to shore, just because the water depths are getting shallower, and that pushes the waves taller and pushes them closer together. Thank you all for those great questions and for watching our channel. Remember, if you want one of your questions answered, find us on Instagram and drop us a question with your name, your location, and we will get it answered on an upcoming video. Have a great week, everybody. Cheers.